Good morning, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Megan here. Today I'm going to unbox my sew sampler from Fat Quarter Shop. They're an online fabric and quilting supply shop, and they do a monthly subscription quilting box that features, it features something different every month, like a different designer or a different fabric line. And then they also put in a whole bunch of other goodies. And I quilt, so I wanted to show you what came in my box. I had done this box before a while ago, like maybe the end of last year actually, and I got to the point where I wasn't using the stuff in the box as quickly as I had hoped, and then also I try to only keep my subscriptions down to 1 or 2 boxes a month, and I wanted to pick up the Planner Society subscriptions, and the box with that subscription, the kit with the add-ons that I was getting was a little more expensive than this box. So this box is $30 a month, and that includes shipping and everything like that. And it comes around the 20th to the 25th, somewhere in there. So I wanted to go through it with you guys, show you what's in it in case you're interested in knowing. And then you could go to their website and get it signed up. I will link everything obviously below. So this is the Nightfall Reflections is the theme for their box, and they're now selling batting at their shop, and they have a whole different bunch of kinds. They have the cotton poly, the bamboo cotton, the 50/50 cotton poly, and the 100% cotton. So you can buy your batting now, which is nice. And so in this box, I can immediately see we have some fat quarters. And the fat quarters in quilting terms, fat quarters, or an FQ, is a quarter yard. So this is going to be usually a fat quarter as opposed to an actual quarter yard cut. Instead of being 9 inches by width of fabric, a fat quarter is going to be 22 inches by 18. So if you think about a fabric yard, it's 36 inches wide, and most width of fabric is 40 to 44. It depends on manufacturer, and it depends on the print and the stuff like that. But for the most part, it's 40 to 44. So if you cut a quarter yard across 9 inches across, and then the width of the fabric, which is going to be 44 inches, you'll have a long strip that's 9 inches by the width of the fabric. When you talk about a fat eighth, you're going to get something that's 9 inches across by 20, or not 22, by 22. So that's a fat eighth. A fat quarter, instead of saying you're going to get your 9 inches by the width of fabric, you're going to get 18 inches, which is half of the yard. But instead of going the full width of the fabric, you're only going to go half that. So you're going to go to the 22 mark. And so you get 4 quarters. They're not perfect squares. They're going to be rectangular because your fabric is rectangular. It's 36 by 44. So you're going to get 18 by 22. So that's a fat quarter. So there's a fat quarter pack here. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces in that. There is polka dot sticky thimbles. We'll get into those. There's all of the literature that comes in here. There's this, it's a everything organized zip around sewing kit. We'll open that, of course. And then a collapsible bin, and then the pattern. And so every box that I've ever received for this particular subscription, this is pretty much what you're going to get. Is you're going to get a pattern, you're going to get some little bits and pieces here like literature, you're going to get a few items like quilting related items, and then you're going to get some fabric. There are other boxes out there. I have also been a part of the Stash Builder box. I actually had a pattern that I wrote that was in that box, and they do the same thing. They do fabric and then thread and some like little stationary notions and stuff like that, and then of course a pattern. So there's different options. You know, take a look around on Instagram, especially. There's a whole bunch of different options. There are a lot of different boxes out there, so just kind of find what you like and go in that direction. The thing I like, I think, most about Fat Quarter Shop and their box is that sometimes, you know, just I guess the variety of stuff you can get in the box. They're pretty good about not announcing what's going to be in the box. They do little sneak peeks, and sometimes people will drop significant hints online as to what's going to be in the box. But for the most part, when it shows up, it's a big surprise. So, but I mean, like an example, this came in a Fat Quarter box one time, and this is a Dresden template. And then I've got, I mean, there's just some other stuff that I've gotten. Sometimes they send samples of different products that are out there to, you know, for like the Best Press. Like I once got a sample of Best Press, which is it's an ironing starch to help you iron out your blocks and stuff like that to prevent stretching and stuff. So it's a good deal, and they usually give pretty interesting stuff. So we'll go ahead and dig right in. Most of the boxes that I've ever received, they always come with a card, like a guide, to let you know what you're getting, a little more information about it, and most of them, they do tend to tell you what the value is. In previous videos, like I had a previous video where I did an unboxing for my FabFitFun box, and their little, you know, information card was that newsletter, and if you went through it, it had all that information in there, like just like this, where it tells you everything that's in there and what it is and how to use it and the retail value for it. So all right, so to start with, we'll start with the Fat Quarters here, because that's the first thing in here. So this fabric company, Free Spirit, they're a division, I believe, of Wyndham Fabrics, which is distributed, Westminster Lifestyle Fabrics. So that's the same as company as Coats. And this is Tula Pink. So she's a designer in the quilting world who does, I mean, very obviously very bright jewel tones. And she does all her own artwork, and she draws it out, and then she puts it into the computer, and then she does her colorways and stuff. So this is her most recent line, besides what she showed at Quilt Market this year. It's called Spirit Animal. So you can see here, this one, it's got some pretty birds in there, and it's a real pretty bright green chartreuse, so it shows up on this deep plum really well. She's got these almost sort of Tatomic shapes, and she actually has a quilt pattern that pieces out this shape, or something very similar to it. I think she calls it Lotus Blossoms. I'm not positive on that one. Okay, so this one, it looks marbled. Like, you can see it looks marbled, but if you look closely here, there's a bunny rabbit, there's a beetle. I'm sure there's other little hidden treasures in here. She is very well known for doing this type of thing, where you look at it and you're like, oh, it's just, you know, it's almost a solid, it's just a marbled fabric, and then you get up in there and there's a chinchilla. And you start looking at it and you can see other things pop out. So this is one of those fabrics where there's lots of fun hidden surprises in the details. So, and then here's that shape again, that almost southwestern star, and it's got some bears on there. Pretty beautiful colors too. This one is a little more eerie, but it's still very pretty. These beautiful blooms on it, and then inside each of the blooms are faces. Very pretty. Oh, and there's a bee right there. It's almost a game sometimes to see, like, what can you see in her fabric, because you know it's going to be. And then this one again it looks like I've got bits and pieces of 2 different colorways here. And then this one again, only in the teal and yellow. And then finally, one of the focal prints, and I'm really, really pleased that I got this one because it's actually a really beautiful example of this print. It's got these otters like swimming in the cosmos. It's just a beautiful, beautiful fabric. So, and if you were to do a search into Google for Tula Pink spirit animal, you'd get a whole bunch of different, a whole bunch of different vendors would pop up and let you know, like you could buy the whole line, you could buy yardage, if you go, most quilt shops still have this on the shelves right now. I've only, a lot of them, I want to say this only came out last spring. Yeah, I want to say this is relatively new. Like her new line is not going to be available until next spring, but I'm pretty sure like this is relatively easy to get your hands on still. So if you like it and if you're interested in the other colorways, because I'm pretty sure I have a little bit of each colorway here. She tends to do one that's like blues and purples, ones that's kind of like these bright greens and teals, and then 1 or 2 lines that'll be into the reds and to the pinks and purples. So I definitely say check her out. She's really cool. Just a really amazing designer. Like I might actually have some more Tula Pink right here. Actually, this is one of her other lines. And you can see like the colors are just beautiful. And this was the line most recent, the line before this one, and it has these cats on it. And yeah, they're just, she's just really cool. Like this one has got little mice tucked in the leaves there. I don't know. She's an amazing designer. Her stuff is really unique and very, very bright. It's almost, if you remember, so like Lisa Frank that used to do the really beautiful bright stickers back in the 80s and 90s. It's almost kind of like that, but it's much more tasteful. So there are the fat quarters that came in here, and so there's, like I said, there's 8 of them here. So that's 2 total yards of fabric, because if it's a quarter each and there's 8 here, that's 4. Or 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay, so everything Mary Zip Around Sewing Kit. It is next in line. Where is the top? There is the top. That's not going to open up easily. There we go. So this is padded. It's soft on the outside, for sure. And I need some scissors. Scissors. All right, let's get that out of there. Box, it's in the back. All right, let's put this right here. All right, so you come in here. You've got some scissors. These scissors would be too big to take on an airplane. I do not believe these are TSA approved, because blade to handle is longer than 4 inches. But here is a seam guide, sewing and knitting gauge. Here is a seam ripper. Always a very important tool. You might think, oh, I'll never use it. You will. You will. And there's a measuring tape. There's silica. We don't need that. And then a thimble. And the needles are in here. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of them in there. And then a very nice selection of colors, so that if you needed to make some repairs on the road, you definitely could. The other thing you could probably do with this fairly easily is modify it to, if you were going to use it to do hexes, like English paper piecing, that sort of thing. Or if you were just going to use it to, like if you were hand stitching a quilt, you could use it for that. But so that is a nice little travel kit. We'll just, like I said, it's padded, soft, it's pretty. And there's its information there. All right, so what's next on the little card here? Next on the card is the Fat Quarter Shop exclusive Bitty Buddy. which is this right here. And this is a collapsible, I don't know, scrap bin, pretty much. Bitty Buddy, the Gypsy Quilter, collapsible canister to hold your snippets, yeah. I have something like this that I take with me when I go on quilt retreats or even just when I go to guild meetings. And you can see it's got their information on the bottom there, complete with their website and everything like that. And it's just a quick collapsible little something, and you just probably just put that up underneath the foot of your machine, and you'd hang it, like, you can't see very well, but this is the edge of my table right down here. You would put this under your machine, and then it would hang off the edge of the table, and then as you're sewing and stuff, if you have thread scraps or fabric scraps and stuff like that, you can just drop them down in there. Whenever I go on retreats, the retreat coordinator usually, they put like paper bags on the table, and though a lot of times there's enough of something of this, like, you know, like a fabric bin, or somebody's made, like actually made one of these. I've got one over here on my sewing station for my machine behind me here, and it is one that I've made. But so that's the same concept. So there's the collapsible fabric bin from Fat Quarter Shop. So we'll set that there. Itty bitty buddy. All right. Next is there's a members only exclusive deal. So that's always really good to have that information, that discount, in case you want to buy, like it includes, I believe it includes the fabric too, doesn't it? Not valid on some exclusions. One time for sew samplers, offer expires. Excludes quilt pattern. Okay, so yeah, if you wanted to buy more yardage of this fabric that came in the box, you could use that code and get a little bit of a discount. When you're talking about discounts online, unless you buy, I won't say a lot, but you know, you need to buy at least 3 or 4 yards worth of fabric in order to actually see that discount apply to your purchase. Otherwise, for the most part, it's going to be covering your shipping cost, which, you know, is not nothing, because, you know, shipping can get really expensive. So, all right, so next on our little booklet is the polka dot sticky thimbles. Now, I do quite a bit of English paper piecing, which is when you take a piece of paper in like the shape of a hexagon, and then you wrap fabric around it and secure that fabric to that piece of paper, and then you take all those little fabric wrapped pieces of paper and you stitch them together. If you did a search online or even on YouTube for English paper piecing or EPP, which is what it's sometimes just straight up referred to, you'll get a lot of videos on different techniques for how to do it. And you know, from how to wrap your pieces, like how to wrap the paper, to all the way down to there's a couple of different ways you can sew things together. Excuse me. Anyway, a big part of that, however, is like you develop calluses on your fingertips, and on I get them on my thumbs too, because when I'm stitching, I'll use my thumb to pull my thread straight, so that goes through the stitch and doesn't get tangled and stuff. And so it would be nice, like I've got a callus going right there from recent stitching, instead of having to wear a thimble, which sometimes I can do fairly easily when I get going into a project, then it doesn't bother me as much. But wearing a thimble sometimes, I don't know, it just makes my fingers sticky, and I don't particularly care for it. So these are nice because then you just put it on there, you put it right over where your callus is, and then when you're stitching, you use that to push the needle through. Excuse me, getting over a cold. Use that to push the needle through, and it kind of protects your finger a little bit more. So, and you know, they're not terribly sticky. They come and go, but excuse me, hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. Just get a drink of water and get that all out so I'm not coughing on camera. But so those are just, they're stick-on finger thimbles, and they're really nice to have, and I know I'm going to use these. I've got some, I've used them in the past, and they're a great quilter's tool. So, and then next is the pattern. Now, the patterns that come in this particular kit are made and designed specifically to go with the fabric they're providing. So you can see all those fabrics that we went through here in the colorways that they have provided are right there on that quilt. The backing fabric, the background, and the actual binding is not provided. But see, you can see right here on the back, it tells you what's in your box already, and it gives you the numbers and the line information. You can't see that, it's not focusing, but it gives you all the line information as to which fabrics you got in your box, and also so then if you want more, you can buy more of just those fabrics, and then also what else you'll need. And as far as the backgrounds, it's 4 1/8 yards. The binding is 3/4 of a yard, and then 4 1/2 yards is the backing, which is obviously not being shown here, but it is. They've backed it in this with these adorable little otters on it, but you can see by looking at it that the colors in that little otter's pink, and the otters on ours are purple. So it's the same pattern, it's a different colorway. So, and that would still be a beautiful backing on a quilt. And it's also really nice. It's a great quilt pattern because, you know, if you maybe you have, you know, like I do, I have, you know, other fat quarters that that would go well in this pattern. Because the nice thing about this pattern, I can tell you by looking at it, you know, these are big pieces. It's going to showcase that fabric really well. And if you're taking, you know, you're taking a fat quarter and you're cutting it into pieces where you can, you know, you can get the entire otter on there and see it real easily, then this would be, you know, this is a good pattern for fabric that has, you know, medium to, I wouldn't say large scale patterns on it, but definitely medium and small scale repeats on the pattern on the fabric. So, and then it'd also be really super easy to increase the size. You know, you could add, like if you wanted a longer quilt, you could add another row of the stars. If you wanted a longer and wider quilt, you could add another row and another column. And if you wanted it to be a little more scrappy than this, you know, you could definitely play around with this. So, but that is the pattern. All the information is in there. It's full color, and, you know, I mean, it's, I believe they have written this pattern, yes. So, you know, it's been tested by quite a lot of people, because they have a number of people that work for them that do pattern testing. And then also there's the hashtags. So if you wanted to go check it out online, see what other things other people are doing, you know, you could definitely do that. So, and the other nice thing about this, you can buy the finishing kit, which will include the background, which is the white, and the binding. So you can buy the finishing kit to do the entire top and use your little coupon code, and then that way you can complete the entire quilt for, you know, I mean, already we've surpassed the $30 that I paid for this box. Between just this fabric and the pattern, we're already at the $30 easily. And, you know, and that $30 was actually 24 and change, and then you put in the $4 or $5 that they charge for shipping, and it comes out to like $29.90 or something like that. So, you know, like I've already gotten my money's worth out of this box. And then to be able to go online and buy the rest of the materials to finish this quilt at a discounted price because I have the code in here, then you know, it's like icing on the cake. So, and then the last thing on this card is the basket block recipe card. And every month they send out a card, and I'm not going to show you the entire thing because I will do it like this. So this is what the card looks like, and then down here is all the information on, like, if you want it to be a 5.5 unfinished block, which if you think about it, when you look at something and it says like 5.5 unfinished, that means it's going to be a 5-inch finished block. And so they do it at, like, this one is done at 5.5, 10.5, and 15.5, and it shows you, like, it tells you how the sizes to cut and the colors and the coordinates to this little diagram up here. And then on the back, it shows you how to put it together to get that block. Now, this is not a block that you would not be able to go online and find somewhere. You know, or if you have a little bit of, I don't know, just that kind of mind where you can look at something and figure out, okay, if I did it this way and that way, and you could figure out other ways to put this block together. But every month they do send out these little recipe cards. Last year when I was getting the box, the recipe card actually had a punch, like a hole punch in it, and then you'd string it on the key ring that came out with the first month's box, and you could keep them. You could keep them all together like that. I don't see mine off the top of my head right now. I think I'm over there on my pattern bookshelf somewhere. But this one, it's a, you know, it's a 3x5 or 3.5 by 6 or something like that. It's a recipe card box. It would fit in a recipe box pretty easily. You can see it's a little bit bigger. This is it's close to a standard postcard size, I guess. So that is there. Is the information for that. And then they have a discount code for Tula Pink Hardware. Tula is this month at market debuting some new hardware to the collection that she had started 2 years ago now. I think it's been maybe 3 years ago that she put out a collection of seam rippers and scissors, like the big beautiful scissors and such. And so now she's added to it, and she has left-handed and right-handed, and there's different sizes of scissors, and I believe she's putting out a rotary cutter, but they've all got this really beautiful patina on them. If you're interested, look them up. They're not terribly overpriced. They're, you know, they're decent price, but you can only buy them from registered dealers. You can't buy them at like your big box stores. And then just a little bit of an advertising for what the finishing kit includes for the quilt, and then a sticker. I've got these stickers on various bins and totes all throughout my craft room here. So that's it. So if you ever wondered about some of these quilting boxes or and what they might have in them, here is one and what it has in it. And it's a good one. Like I said, I really enjoyed and have always enjoyed the Fat Quarter Shop product, and we'll go ahead and continue to stay with this box for a little bit longer, maybe for the next 6 or 7 months. We'll see. And I really do think I'm just going to do this quilt the way it's written. And I don't know if I'll buy the finishing kit. However, I do have quite a bit of white fabric and enough to do the binding on my own, so I don't necessarily need to buy the finishing kit. But there it is. If you stayed with me for the whole video, excuse me, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Comments and questions below. I will link all the information about Fat Quarter Shop and whatnot down below, and then also some information, more information about Tula Pink and whatnot. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. All right, bye.